So I'm going to talk a little bit about citizen science, and I'm going to talk about how it promotes people-powered solutions at the intersection of science, technology, and society. It's one of the programs that we have at Florida International University that we use to support climate adaptation strategies, building new climate adaptation strategies, and engaging the public and students in understanding climate change impacts in South Florida. So I'm going to walk you through this quick slide or two on some of the evidence that we have that illustrates that climate change is happening and climate change is real. On the left, you see a slide that shows an increase in temperature since the 1880s that's accelerated in the last 50 years. So it's increasingly becoming hotter, and that's something that we are monitoring with temperature observations. And this particular graphic is produced by Dr. Jim Hansen. On the right-hand side, so as we know that as temperatures warm from the impacts of increasing the emissions of fossil fuels into our atmosphere, changing Earth system processes, and changing our human environment, the increase in temperature is also contributing to an increase in sea level rise. And so what I'm showing here on the right, if you'll notice there are a number of white and blue hatch marks. You also see red hatch marks there. And if you look at the graph from top to bottom, which is oriented by year, over time and more recently, we see more of those red hatches. And those red hatches indicate the increased frequency of tidal flooding that we see in some communities in South Florida, in Miami-Dade County in particular. And then we also have sort of an interaction with the human environment that can exacerbate climate change impacts. And one of the things about South Florida that makes it pretty interesting, in particular Southeast Florida, is that we have a very transmissive bedrock. So that means water flows through it very easily. That contributes to changes in our groundwater levels. And so we can have different sources of flooding combined to produce what we know as compound flooding. So in the fall, we have a lot of rainfall. This is when we get most of our rainfall in the summer and fall. That produces increased groundwater levels. That's one of the sources of our freshwater drinking supply, in fact. And then when we get high tides in October or in the fall season, and if we get, let's say, an intense rain event, those different sources of water contribute to what we know as compound flooding. And then also on the right, that's a graphic of urban heat islands. So as temperatures are increasing, they interact with the human environment, in that when we have less tree cover, we have more impervious surface, in particular blacktop, large surface lots that are increasing in our communities. That exacerbates the effects of increasing temperature in our communities. And so in 2015, Florida International University launched the Sea Level Solutions Center, which is in the Institute of Environment. And this was a response of the university to develop and promote new types of research that would help us to address climate change impacts in South Florida. And in particular, what was really interesting about the center is that it encouraged faculty collaboration across disciplines. So biologists working with architects, working with engineers, working with policy and law experts, because we understand that climate change is not unique to any specific sector. We all have to work together, coming from our different areas of expertise and perspectives, to understand how we can create the new knowledge that is necessary to address climate change impacts in our communities. And so one of the programs that we launched in 2015 as part of our center was a citizen science program. And that was an opportunity to both collect information, new types of observations that would help us to understand where flooding is occurring, some of the urban flooding that we had been seeing, but also to enable students and the public to participate in that data collection and that new sets of observations that help us to formulate climate adaptation strategies, but also helping us to increase awareness and education around those impacts in our communities. So what is citizen science? We are, bringing students and the general public to work with scientists on science endeavors. Anyone can participate in citizen science, and it's a great opportunity to conduct science that is produced together. So the Citizen Science program that we launched in 2015 was called the Sea Level Solutions Day. And here I'm just showing a quick image of one of our flyers from the 6th annual Sea Level Solutions Day in 2021. And just to note that these are broadly collaborative efforts. We work with institutions, organizations across our communities, nonprofit organizations, municipal governments, as well as other academic institutions and high schools. And here's an image from the 2017 Sea Level Solutions Day. So this was hosted at the Vizcaya Village in Miami-Dade County. It's a great opportunity to convene community and learn about climate change impacts together. And so some of the really important elements that promote how we use information that is collected on Sea Level Solutions Day. So essentially, we're trying to improve information about where, when, and to what extent flooding is occurring across different communities. In Miami-Dade County, we've also done some work in Broward and Palm Beach with collaborators at organizations. We're a municipal government there. And how does it help? So understanding where and how and the extent to which flooding is occurring helps us to prioritize locations for climate adaptation projects, and those areas that are experiencing some of the more significant impacts of urban flooding can be prioritized for investments to try to reduce those impacts. It also helps us to understand how much flooding we might expect in different communities based on tidal data that NOAA helps to produce. And then it also helps us with information around early warning systems for understanding when and where flooding may occur. And here, so this is on the left here, shows the distribution of observations that's possible with citizen science. So all those little red circles and dots, those were locations of the 2017 sampling event. And you can see immediately that just one research group, one institution, just a few people, it's simply not possible to capture this type of information because we know these tidal events are over short duration. So working together with students and the general public, we can capture the patterns of tidal flooding where and when they occur. So just a couple of images of some of our past events. Part of the program is also training citizen scientists how to collect that information. We provide them with what we call citizen science kits, which are comprised of just very general, often all things that you can purchase from Amazon. One of the techniques is to simply lower your tape measure into the water and get the flood depth at the location that you are sent to take those observations. And so we use technology. You just go to a link, you access that from a smartphone, and that enables us to collect information from citizen scientists while they're on site. They collect photographs, help to verify the information that's collected, for example, with the tape measure, by taking pictures of the tape measure and the flood depth, using a refractometer. So if you have a saltwater aquarium that you need to test salt levels for your fish, same type of equipment used there. And then we also collect water samples to understand the quality of the water in those flooded areas. And working with our journalism and mass communications department, we were able to integrate technology into the citizen science program to make it more seamless and enable us to assure the quality of the data that are coming in. Another significant concern in terms of climate change impacts is increasing extreme heat. And one of the reasons why in communities we can experience more extreme heat than in others is because of the lack of urban tree canopy. And this graphic here is this horizontal bar plot with different communities arranged along those rows. You see green bars, which is the existing urban tree canopy cover within those communities. The light green, the gray bars show where new tree canopy could be planted. And then the orange bars are simply where it's probably not feasible or it's just too difficult to increase the percentage of urban tree canopy in those communities. So what I see is a large distribution in urban tree canopy cover across communities within Miami-Dade County, but I also see a lot of opportunity for increasing urban tree canopy to help reduce, that can help reduce heat exposure for people that are, for example, taking public transportation or at their homes or just walking to the park. But understanding that there's a lot of opportunity across these different communities, how do we prioritize where to do those tree canopy plantings? We can use information about communities where underserved or under-resourced communities may preferentially benefit from increased urban tree canopy, but we can also use temperature and humidity sensors to understand the microenvironmental conditions that illustrate where communities may be hotter and in order to prioritize urban tree canopy cover. And so this project here was a collaboration with Outfront Media, as well as the Department of Public Works and Transportation at Miami-Dade County. And we have also had students and the general public help us with these deployments. And what we're deploying are nickel-sized, what are called eye buttons, so temperature and humidity sensors, in locations, in different types of locations, so that we can apply statistics, general statistics, to understand which locations are experiencing hotter conditions. And in this particular study, we were looking at the distribution of heat relative to bus shelters, and looking at, if a bus shelter has urban tree canopy, is that cooler than one that doesn't have urban tree canopy, so that we can help to design strategies that reduce the exposure of heat that people are experiencing when they're using public transportation. And so what we've found is actually that urban tree canopy makes a big difference. Even when you have a bus shelter, we can see up to 8 degrees Fahrenheit difference in the hottest part of the day, depending on whether there's urban tree canopy over those bus shelters or not. It's not to say that urban tree canopy should be necessarily planted over all bus shelters. It may not be feasible, but helps to identify that different types of strategies can help us to reduce the heat exposure that people may be experiencing. So I would just like to encourage, if anyone's interested in citizen science, this year we have our 10th annual Sea Level Solutions Day. But I'd also like to ask for you to consider your own citizen science activity. What questions would you like to rally the community around to help answer with citizen science? Thank you so much. Appreciate the time and great to be with you all.